this is this is multiple countries. Remember, Swami is actually. Oh, good to see you, Frank, from Germany. Oh, well done, well done. Nice to see you. So we've got literally from all over the world. We have a lot of people from India as well. Swami Brahmavidananda, but affectionately known as Swami B, for those who still want to retain their teeth after saying it. He's also from India, very techie for a Swami, really. He's got his mobile phone and everything, and he's got Zoom on it, and he teaches all over the world from that moment, from that environment. So pretty amazing. So welcome to everyone. This is a series of 2 talks, and this today and next week at exactly the same time. The Zoom instructions are exactly the same for next week as well, so we hope to have you here for that. As you know, as you may know, those of you who have attended the yoga festivals, and that's a lot of you, Swami B has been a real strong supporter of the festival. Whenever he's come, he's always brought his enthusiasm, robustness with him. Many of you may not know that he started off life as a marine engineer, and then went on and was taught by Swami Dayananda, and he'll no doubt he can introduce himself in that way. But also, many of you may not know that he was actually a great martial arts teacher at one time. He really did that very well, and he's still a bit of a warrior at heart. So he's pretty invincible as a Swami goes, and we thought who better than to talk about the subject of fearlessness today. So you are all currently muted, and we will do it so that you can unmute yourself for a question, but please keep yourself muted otherwise, and that improves the quality of the sound. If you have an urgent question and you don't want to interrupt the Swami, you can always do it on a chat line. Christina and I will be monitoring the chat line and making sure that urgent questions go through. Swamiji doesn't mind an interruption in between. He has the power of mind to be able to continue with the flow. But most questions, I think, may be after Q&A after the session, which, as I said, is the first of 2 weekly sessions. So without further ado, let me hand you over to Swami Brahmavidananda. Welcome, Swami. Thank you very much indeed. It's always a pleasure to see you again. And we very much look forward to your talk. So welcome and pranam to you, Swami.
Thank you, Ram. That was a very nice introduction. Coming straight to the topic. From fear to fearlessness. One needs to recognize that fear is a universal emotion. After all, we are just human, common expression. Even those who are little bit emotionally stunted in terms of expressing their emotions, many men like me are, unlike me are. Even if you are a bit wanting in your expression of other emotions, fear is always there. Born as a human being, one cannot escape fear. And in some ways, we also learn to be scared of things as a process of socialization. Even a person who says, hey, I don't have any fear, I'm not afraid of anything, He may not have a paralyzing fear, but the person will definitely have a sense of insecurity, which is also a milder form of fear. You're human, can't avoid it. It is natural. Insecurities, etc., are easier to work through, even though that takes a longer time. One has to learn to deal with our insecurities. What we are predominantly concerned with is the fear that paralyzes, that makes you incapable of doing what has to be done. So whether it is real or perceived, the fear that paralyzes you, that makes you incapable of action, that is where the problem lies. It has its roots in our past. Just imagine a situation where human beings were sharing the planet with the saber-toothed tiger, etc. I'm talking of that past, not recent past. Imagine hearing the roar of that saber-toothed tiger. There's a sudden alarm reaction which paralyzes you. Look at it. Physiologically, you perceive danger, adrenaline is being pumped into your body, your muscles, hormones are being released, your muscles have become tight to fight or flee, but you do neither. There is an alarm reaction, you're still. So much so that even in today's world, in the world today, if a human being goes on a safari and he hears a roar of a tiger or a lion, for a second, the same alarm reaction comes in, he stops. In fact, that is what the roar of a lion is meant for. It helps him hunt, because for a split second, the prey is paralyzed. That can make the difference for the lion between eating and going hungry, and for the prey from surviving or dying. So this alarm reaction, because of which we remain paralyzed. It may not be something so drastically threatening. It may be something like discovering a lump in your armpit. In having a shower, you discovered suddenly there is a lump. Oh my God, cancer. What do I do? There is always a small period of denial where you are panic stricken, but you are denying at the same time and you do nothing. The first thing would be to go to a checkup. Which many do, but many are paralyzed into not doing anything, into a denial. No, that must be just a boil, it'll go away. I'll take some anti-inflammatories, it'll go away. That is the fear which paralyzes. And that is the problem. Not that the other manifestations are not problematic, but we'll go step by step on it. So this problem, this alarm reaction. And if fear is so universal in all human beings, obviously there must have been a purpose for it. Fear is part of the psychological order. is Ishvara's order. Therefore, there is a role for that fear. And I would say in some years, fear helped the survival of the human race. Just imagine a situation. Again, back to the cave age, okay? Because we are talking a group of people walking on a track, hoping to get some kill of a deer or something like that. So half a dozen people are walking, wooden spears in their hands. Suddenly there is a roar and this tiger appears. Two out of the six rush towards the tiger without any plan of attack or coordination, nothing. Just rush, courageous, bold. Just rush towards the tiger. The other four scamper up the trees to escape. Tell me who will survive? The one that scampered up the tree, isn't it? The one who climbed the trees will survive. And these two bold characters will probably meet their death. Because attacking a tiger with a wooden spear without any plan of action, without any coordination with each other, just rushing in. Courageous, no doubt. Bold, no doubt. Not very smart. So like this, imagine a society of people like that. Tribes after tribes. These bold people die out. Who survives? The fearful ones. We are descendants of all those fearful ones, okay? So what happens? The society is predominantly made of people who are scared. Because they survived. At the same time, if this is repeated for a couple of times, the people who climbed up the trees and survived, they would have sat and thought, we can't be living like this, running in fear all the time. How can we be living like this? We have to do something about it. Next time the tiger attacks, we must have some plan. So in spite of the fear, they now are thinking of what to do, because they realize today it was just a buddy, a hunting buddy. Tomorrow it may be your wife and kids who will leave behind and climb up the tree. Then what? The human race will be wiped out. This won't do. We have to get beyond our fear and do something. It's at that time evolution took a favorable turn for mankind, for the humankind. Why? Because here was a group of people who were scared but willing to overcome that fear and do what is right. That was a turning point in the history of evolution. No more will we willing to be running away from every danger. No more we are willing to become helpless victims. We took our first step towards from victimhood to survival. And later on from survival to becoming warriors. And from warriors to going beyond fear. A warrior also has fear. So can you see this? Fear helped the human race to survive, but as victims. The decision to do something about it, what I would like to give it a name, courage, helped us grow and survive in a better manner. Therefore, it is important now to see, to understand exactly when you say I am scared, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it imply? There is a philosophical reason given that I will probably go into it at the next talk. But let us see it in practical terms today. All fear comes from a sense of loss of something that I don't want to lose. In fact, the garbage, I keep it out. Why? I want to lose it. I'm not afraid of that. I want to lose it. No, losing something I don't want to lose. Bad enough. And the consequent thinking, the next thought that comes, that I cannot handle that loss. Not only is there an appreciation of a loss, it is followed by the thought that I cannot handle that loss. The loss may be name, fame, a loved one, loss of limb, loss of life. It may be anything. Something I don't want to lose. And I cannot handle that loss. I cannot live with that loss. I don't know what to do with that loss. It's exactly like a child going to his first day of school. The child is excited and maybe a little apprehensive. But the mother keeps repeating, "Beta, be very careful. Sonny, be very careful. Don't do this, don't do that. Be very careful." What the mother is actually meaning is, if anything happens to you, I don't know what I will do. And the child learns that fear. What the child is meaning, what the mother is meaning is that I don't know what I will do, how I live if anything happens to you. So this I cannot handle it is what creates that fear, which what makes the fear bigger. There's an appreciation of a loss which is healthy. Because you know this is what the world is. There will be losses. And if you are appreciating in a situation, you can lose something. That's a healthy appreciation. That's a healthy recognition. That's an objective recognition. I cannot handle it is purely subjective. Have we not survived the loss of name, fame, money, people? Have you not? You're not happy with it. I accept that. With this virus, how many families will have to deal with the loss of someone? A few thousand families. It's inevitable. But can you say, I cannot handle it? Yeah, right now I'm saying I cannot handle it. That's what's creating the fear in me. That's what keeping me not knowing what to do. And if I build up on that thinking, oh my God, what will happen? I can't do anything about it. I can't do anything. Then I'll get a panic attack, which makes it worse. So now look at it. I have this fear in my mind. Or remember that example, that lump in my armpit. It's cancer, I can't handle it, Baba. Therefore, I sit with that fear. But the fear is not going to go away on its own. Not doing anything is not going to make that fear go away. And here is a great secret about fear. Pushing through my fear and doing what is necessary frees me to a great extent from that fear. This is where what we call as courage comes into the picture. What is courage? Courage is doing what is necessary in spite of your shaking, knocking knees, your shaking hands, and a heart that is beating too fast. In spite of all that, you do what is necessary. Let me illustrate this with a small story. Someone who comes to my class used to come regularly. Now he's too old to be regular. This was, he is, I'll mention his name because he's heroic. It's a positive thing. Major General Suri, retired. Yeah. This was when he was a young colonel in Army Sappers during the Indo-Pakistan War of 1965, where this man was a young colonel in charge of Army Sappers. Sappers are Army engineers. I'm sure that's a term the British are familiar with. So there was a minefield which these people had to clear so that the army could attack in the morning at the crack of dawn. So the clearing was being done in the night. And somewhere the other side got wind of it and they started shelling. Shells coming across. Minefields. You're in a minefield and there is shelling. And here is this colonel. Everybody is running to take some cover under some rock or something, because there is nothing like a minor injury when you are clearing a minefield. Okay? Minor injuries, you losing a hand or a leg. Major injury is 6 feet under the ground. There's nothing in between, nothing lesser than that. But this man stands right in the middle of that minefield, hands folded, and starts giving orders what to do. Inspired by him, everyone goes around doing what has to be done, clearing the minefield. Of course, there are deaths, there are explosions, there are deaths because shelling is happening. They clear the minefield. The Indian army attacks in the morning. The battle is won. So the end of the day, and the battle is over and done. The wounded are treated and the dead are prepared for burial or cremation, depending on what is necessary. A young officer goes and asks the colonel, "Sir, it was so heroic of you to be standing right there in the middle of that minefield. You are like the rock of Gibraltar, unshaken. Wasn't there? I mean, you looked fearless. Were you really that fearless?" I remember this colonel married a couple of years back. His elder daughter is 2-year-old. His wife is expecting their second child. This is the condition back home for the colonel. Okay. First kid, 2-3 years old. Second on the way. A charming young lady at home. A kid who is seen and played with and is longing to go and hold her in his arms again. And the second one on the way. You think the colonel couldn't appreciate the loss that will be there for not only for himself, for them also? Of course he could. So you know what is the answer? Says, why do you think I was standing with my legs apart? Sir, because better balance, better. He started laughing. He says, no, so that nobody will see my knees knocking together. Of course you are scared. It is human to be scared. Only an idiot will not be scared when you are clearing a minefield with enemy shelling coming across. Of course there is a scary situation. But the colonel didn't say, I can't do anything. He pushed through that fear, did what was necessary in spite of that fear. This is what we call courage. To do what is right in spite of your knocking knees, in spite of your fear. How does one do that? That's a big question. Okay? How does one do that? Simple. I can't handle it is the cause of fear. Use whatever resources to convert it to I can handle it. Simple to say. Have you ever thought what would be the condition of his wife back home, knowing her husband is out in the front? With a toddler at home and another on the way. How much scared the wife should be. But she also handled it. There is every chance she could have lost her husband that night. There's a high, the chances were high. Very high. Of course, she didn't know all the details. She only knew he was on the front. But you know, anyone going to the front? Platoons are wiped out. Companies are wiped out sometimes. But she handled it. And the kids are grown up very well. Both the young girls. Okay, now not that. Come to my classes. Yeah. So, that I can't handle it to I can handle it. Any questions up to now? Because I covered a whole topic in half an hour. It's a huge topic, but I cut short certain things and handled it. If there are any questions, please ask. Then I'll go ahead.
We don't see anything up on the board at the moment, Swamiji. So I think we're okay. No questions so far.
Okay. How to control that guy? Exactly. I will come to that now. Before you're talking about controlling fear or being courageous, one very important point here, which many people don't do, that's why they struggle with their fears, is to be able to accept that fear. I don't resist fear. I accept it. To an extent of even welcoming it. You're scared. Don't push down those emotions. Let that emotion come first. And yeah, the first step, just accepting that fear. Imagine yourself. If you want, you can try it right now. Just try it. Okay. Visualize yourself as though you're standing on the beach in waist deep water. Visualize that. You're standing on a beach, waist deep water. Warm sun above, pleasant. There's a nice small breeze blowing. It's very pleasant water.
You're standing waist deep. Now imagine a fear, whatever fear you have. Loss of money, loss of name, loss of fame, loss of a loved one, a breakup in a relationship, whatever you're afraid of. Visualize that. Bring that up in your mind. Identify that, bring up that fear in your mind. Now visualize that fear is a wave that is coming towards you. Something external. That wave is coming towards you. And you're standing there. And that wave of fear washes over you and leaves you. The same thing. It comes again and it washes over. Comes again and washes. You're not resisting it. You are just accepting it. Wave after wave of that fear, it comes, washes over you and leaves. You're accepting that fear. You're welcoming it to come to you. You know what you have done here in this visualization? You have stood apart from your fear. You stood apart from your fear and accepted it. It's only when you accept that fear, accept the fact you're afraid, can you deal with it. Otherwise, there will be a fear of fears. I've seen this in many courageous people. They're afraid to be afraid. They're so afraid to be afraid that they are literally terrified every minute of their lives. That's why in psychology you have so many names given to so many different types of fears. That doesn't matter. You don't have to know all the names. You just have to know what you are afraid of and accept that. I know it's easier said than done. If you have been attending or listened to some of my lectures at the yoga festival, I said that karma yoga is all about accepting things. So accept the fear, not the consequences yet. Accept that fear. Accept this fact that I am a vulnerable human being. Unless you get in touch with your vulnerability, it's difficult to control fear or live in courage. I don't talk about controlling fear. I talk about living in courage. I have to accept my vulnerability. Now, as Ram introduced me as someone who's involved in martial arts, everything. In martial art, there is a way of handling this fear, of getting in touch with your vulnerability. But that's a very hard way. You know, for your graduation as a black belt, what you will do? Okay, here you have to combat with another black belt. So you're in combat, 1-to-1, you can handle. Then when both of you start getting tired, that guy is withdrawn, a fresh guy is sent against you. Now you are tired and that guy is fresh coming. If you're really good, then that guy also will be tired and a third guy will be sent. Nobody survives more than that. Okay. Then what happens? A time comes when you can't do anything. You're too exhausted. You're getting blows after blows. You're collapsed. And what is there to be done? You're totally vulnerable. There's nothing you can do. You're willing to die. This is a tough way of getting in touch with your vulnerability. You're vulnerable, see? Nothing you can do. You have discovered the point of your helplessness. There's one way of doing it. I'm sure most people here wouldn't want to do that. All right. Therefore, in our martial art breathing exercises, there are some breaths where you will breathe in enough and then compress that breath. We call it compression of the prana. And we'll compress it so much that your heart is almost to standstill. Almost. With your sheer will, you are doing it. You start feeling dizzy. Then you start breathing again. And you find the heartbeat going, because now it can breathe again. Then again you will do it. Minimum 9 times. What are you doing again? Getting in touch with your vulnerability. Hey, you're confronting vulnerability. Okay, this is you. All it takes is this much. There is a still more gentler way. Okay. I can introduce that as a small meditation, very tiny bit of meditation. Okay. I mean, you can do it for a longer time when you are at home, but be careful. You may feel a bit BP, etc. with that. And if you feel that, don't get worried. That's right. You're on the right track because you're getting in touch with your vulnerability. It's important. It's only when you get in touch with your vulnerability can you now start living in courage, because you know this is it. You know, the core of your being is a very vulnerable entity. As a human being, I'm talking about. I'm not talking about from the standpoint of Vedanta. That I will do in the next talk, where you will learn to live in total fearlessness. Here, we'll go up to courage. Okay. Look at your muscle. Okay. You can do arm curls, hammer curls. 20 kilos in your hand, no problems. Strong, tough. But you know, at the heart of your muscle, small nerves, jelly-like substance. If something happens to that, forget 20 kilos, you'll not be able to lift your hand. So the core of your strength is something which is highly delicate and vulnerable. It's on that vulnerable core you develop a warrior-like personality. So if you want to overcome fear, get in touch with this vulnerable being. Okay, quickly 2-3 minutes of meditation. Okay. So wherever you are, in your homes, in your places, sit comfortably. It doesn't matter. You don't have to always sit in a Padmasana on the ground. No, you don't always have to do it. I have taught meditation to people when they're standing. When they're standing in the Ganga, standing in the rain, various forms of meditation are there. Okay. So here, wherever you are, probably most of you are sitting on a chair or something with your laptops open in front of you. Laptop or a phone or something open in front of you. So sit there. Gently close your eyes. There may be a lot of people in your life, but right now, at this moment, you're all alone. Earth below, the heavens above, the skies above. The skies above, the earth below. You are one person under the heavens. You have come here into the world alone. You're going to depart from this world alone. Alone to the alone, all alone. That is a human being spiritual journey. Breathe gently, breathe deeply, but gently. And get in touch with this being, all alone. Earth below, the heavens above. Unconnected to anything else. You came alone, you're going to go alone. Just sit in this feeling. Just a feeling. It's a very simple meditation, just feeling oriented. That feeling of vulnerability, get in touch with that. It's not easy, it'll take some time. Just remind yourself. You're alone, one person under the sky. Earth below, the heavens above. Totally alone. Okay, I don't want to take it too long in a session like this, but I hope you have understood what I'm trying to tell you. To get in touch with that vulnerability. Once you know you are this vulnerable person, once you have accepted that fear, now look at what is it that can convert I cannot handle it to I can handle it. That's all it takes to be living in courage. Whatever resources you need, loss of money, for example. Yes, can you handle it? All my savings have been wiped out. In this market crash because of the virus, all savings wiped out. I thought I would become rich. Example. Not that I have big savings anyway. I'm a monk, okay. So I had invested all the money in the share market. It's just paper now. The shares are just the value of paper. Only 10% of the original. Let us say that's it. Oh my God, I can't handle it. Can you not? That is normal living for a monk. If he can handle it, so can I. Can you see that? Yeah. Monks don't build up assets like that. They don't invest in the share market. They don't have enough to invest. So that's normal living. And if you have built it up once, you can build it up again. It's too late in my life. Why? I'm 65. So you have another 20 years. No, but this I took 40 years to build up. So build up half of that, enough for you to live comfortably. Whom are you going to live it to? Your son-in-law? Your brother-in-law? Who are you living? Are you getting it? If I had done it once, I can do it again. I may not build up and become a very wealthy man as I was, but I will build up enough for me to live comfortably. I can handle it. Nothing I can't handle. No, but there is a big financial security. All security is an illusion. It's only the insecure that requires security. And no security is totally secure. This, every insecure being needs to recognize this. Only then you can live in courage. No security is totally secure. It's only relative security. And that relative security, if you learn to build it up once, you can build it up again. I can handle it. Can you see? The fact that you see yourself as able to handle it is itself living in that courage. You're overcoming that fear. You're overcoming that fear. Where is that fear? It is there. You have accepted that fear. Yeah, my fear is I cannot handle it. And I'm going to shift now to thinking I can handle it. That's what I'm going to do. That I can handle it. And I can. Yeah, somebody said that my instinct was to wrap my hands around myself. That's fine. But do that after you really got in touch. Because that's an adult saying, I can take care of the child within. That's good. No problem. Go by your instinct in this. It's a good thing to do. Good thing to do. Let your instinct guide you. Because fear also is instinctive. So recognize cognitively that if people can survive, we are afraid of what? This virus, 3 months lockdown. See, nobody has a memory of a pandemic. The last one was 100 years ago, the Spanish flu. 100 years ago. Nobody has living memory of it. But many people, at least your fathers and your grandfathers, will have the living memory of World War II. Can you imagine a war lasting 6 years? Half of London was bombed to the ground. Every day there is a curfew. You don't know when the sirens will go and you have to rush to a shelter. Curfew relaxed only for a couple of hours for you to go and pick up your essentials. Rationing of food. Rationing of coal heating in winters. Rationing of tea and coffee. The Great Depression that followed. But then people built up again, isn't it? Yeah. The British Empire was rebuilt. England as a country was rebuilt. The world rebuilt itself. All that was taken care of. We did it. No? If our forefathers could do it, so can we. We are talking about only 3 months lockdown. Yeah, no big deal. And some recession coming in, not a Great Depression. Yes, if we lose money, our family is impacted. Yes, of course, family is impacted. So we will survive like how other families who have no money to begin with started off and build up again. Certain dreams will have to be compromised, of course. Even and everything is going fine, certain dreams have to be compromised. That's life. Of course, it'll impact. Somebody asked that question. What about if loss of money will impact family? Yes, it will impact. So convert it into an opportunity. Call your wife and kids around you. I'm assuming a man has asked that. Assumption. In absence of seeing the people, I have to make that assumption. So call people around you and say, this is what has happened. How best we can handle it. And remain as a family unit. Believe me, your family bonds will become stronger. Because now, together, you're doing something to come out of the situation. In 90% of the cases, the family bonds become stronger. Why? Because we are discussing how to handle it together. There may be a case or two when people are too self-centered and they walk away from each other. That may happen. That may happen. That's okay. That also can be handled. Why? My family walked away from me, leaving me. Hey, now I'm a single person. I don't have to bother about much. It's only for one person. My family chose to walk away. Made my job easier. Or as together we build up our bonds. You think family bonds are strong only if there is money? We can build strong family bonds, learn to grow from this experience. I can handle it. And you see, this is where the basic thing of Karma Yoga comes in here. Accepting of a situation and responding to it. That is courage. You cannot be a Karma Yogi without courage, without integrity, without honesty. You cannot be that. That's why those Yama and Niyama is given in all the yoga books. And Karma Yoga is not stated there, but there is one Yama Niyama that comes as Ishvara Pranidhanam. Worship of Ishvara. That gives you that attitude of acceptance. It's a gift from the Lord. I'm willing to accept. And the Lord has also given me the ability, hands and legs with the mind and the head with the brain inside to do something about it. So from I can't handle it, use whatever resources you need. Yeah, there is a guilt in terms of not being able to give my family what I wanted to do. You know something? In India, we lost 2 celebrities in the last 2-3 days. Both were well-known actors. The Indian community will recognize them immediately. Irfan Khan and Rishi Kapoor. Rishi Kapoor was much more known as a celebrity and as an actor for 4 decades. Lost both of them. I met him, his wife, and his kids on a couple of occasions when they were very small. I'm telling you one thing. He left behind 300 plus crores. Okay? That's how much? That's about 40 million pounds. 50 million pounds for this family. But everyone in that family would have been happier if they didn't have that money, and he has lived for another 10 years. They would be willing to give up that money for his life for another 10 years. The best thing we can give our family is love, affection, bonds, the emotional bonding, the supports that we have from each other, the support to fight life's battles together. You know, this is where this guilt, we lose our children. We are so busy working to make money for them. And the child is growing up. The child is not bothered about how much money it comes in. Yeah, it wants money for a few toys, for a few things that the friends also have, not more than that. Not worried about your millions. Just worried that much. He wants you to come and sit and talk and play with. By the time you have made it, the kid is an 18-year-old Hulk. And now you want to express bonds. You want to create a bond. The child has grown up without it. Now he doesn't need you. In fact, he is upset that you are not available when he wanted. Therefore, nothing. Sonny, what are you doing? Oh, how's college? Cool. Okay. How are your professors? Okay. And how is all the hostel life now? Okay. By the way, what are you majoring in? Communications. So that is where the whole thing comes in, you know. You lost that kid. So forget this guilt. I have not given enough. If you're given of yourself, that's enough. Anything else is a bonus. Anything else is a bonus. Therefore, remember, this acceptance of that fear, acceptance of the fact that there is always something you can do with it. Therefore, I cannot handle it is converted to I can handle it. If that happens, you are learning to live in courage. To live in courage. to live without fear. Fear is there, but it doesn't paralyze. Why? Because I can handle it. In fact, a time will come when whatever life throws at you, you will be able to handle it. Whatever life throws at you, yeah, you will be able to handle it. Why not? Once you develop your resources, there's something more about it, of course, which I will talk more. I have 2 classes, okay, not 1, 2 talks, not 1. Therefore, I will, and then we will move on to fearlessness. So, up to here, are there any questions? I have spoken for almost an hour. So, is there any questions? No.
Would anyone like to ask a question either directly or put it up on the chat line, and we'll put it up to Swamiji? Any questions from what he's said so far?
Namaskar, Sridhar. Yeah. Shoot the questions.
Right. Tony's got 2 questions. All right, Tony, why don't you give your first question at least?
What is fear teaching the world? To be cautious.
Shivani Meyer. Yeah. What is fear teaching the world? Okay.
In any situation, you know, I read an English poem where the soldier talks about, I forget the name and the author, it was 50 years back when I was in school. Okay? 50 years back when I was in school, I read this. It said the epitaph of a soldier: bold, cautious, true, and my loving comrade. I thought that was the best compliment to be given. Why? He was bold and cautious. Caution is necessary. Caution is recognizing the loss that is possible. Fear is recognizing or thinking that I cannot handle it. To be bold and courageous is to convert I cannot handle it to I can handle it. Simple psychological process. The spiritual process we will go in. Fearlessness, etc. That will be the second part. Courage first. Because without courage, you're not going to get into fearlessness. Okay? Somebody has asked fear of the unknown. Okay? I can cover that also in the next session. No problems. I'll make a note of it. That in the next session, you want me to handle the fear of the unknown also. Okay? I would also ask you all to do one thing. Okay? That is, if there is any particular fear that you have, I would like you all to see what is the thinking that's making you think, what is the process that's making you think I can't handle it, and what you need to do to I can handle it. If you're stuck somewhere, ask it here, I'll help you with it. It is not just a shift of perception. It is a shift of perception of not what to fear. No, you'll always be afraid of something or the other. Then if I'm shifting my perception from a fear of failure to fear of loss, no big deal. No, it is that fear is I can't handle it. And I can't handle it. What do I need to make it I can handle it? Let's say I gave you a couple of examples here. How do you shift the thinking? To make I can't handle it to I can handle it. First, accept that you're afraid of it. Then your process. What is your thinking? Write it down. This is before the next talk. Write it down. What are your thoughts that is making you think I can't handle it? And then to go ahead to converting it to I can handle it. What is necessary? If you find it difficult, bring it out here. We will handle that. Somebody asked a question, can we go through fear without learning to have to handle it? Yeah, a lot of people do that. They live in fear all the time. You can live in fear all the time, or you can live in courage all the time. You can live as a victim all the time, or you can live as a warrior all the time, or at least a survivor, if not a warrior. What do you want to do? Your choice. How would you really like to be afraid all the time? How can you live like that? Yeah. I mean, what type of life is that? Always running from things, running from situations, not handling situations, always living in fear and insecurity. Is that a life? I don't know how to live that life. Even as a kid, I used to tell my mom, I can't live in fear. I know only to live in courage. My mom would say, don't do this, don't do that. I said, what will happen if you do this? What will happen? I said, Mom, you can live in fear if you want. I can't. I know only how to live in courage. Therefore, it's easier for me to discover that fearlessness. But you have a choice. You don't have to. See what you're more comfortable with. And believe me, at the end of the day, when you start living in courage, you will experience a relative freedom which you never had when you're living in fear. Definitely. The question is, do you recommend we accept the circumstances? You have no choice but to accept the circumstances. Tell me. Either you can resign yourself to it or gladly accept it. Accept that. It is not the circumstances that is bringing in fear. It is my thinking that is bringing. Fear is a response. Fear is not the situation. Situation is what is there. That I may lose something. That is the situation. That is not fear. I may lose something is an objective recognition. Situation based, circumstances based. Fear is mine, in me. I can't handle it. What will happen to me? That is what we need to overcome. Don't stop fearful thoughts. Accept them. And at the back of every fearful thought is this conclusion: I cannot handle it. If that thing happens, if I discover that lump is cancerous, I can't handle it. Of course you can handle it. How many hundreds of people are handling it every day? They are not any special people. They are people like you and me. If they can handle it, so can I. There's so many options available. First of all, 90% of the lumps are benign, not cancerous. If it is 10% which is cancerous, there's surgery, there's chemo, there's radiation, all that is possible. Hormonal treatment. So many treatments are available. Opposite of fear is not acceptance. Opposite of fear is courage. But to get to courage, I need to accept. Without acceptance, I cannot build up my courage. And remember, courage is just as simple as this. From I can't handle to I can handle. So whatever resources you need, psychological, spiritual, yogic, that's why when you're paralyzed by fear, somebody asked the question, take a few breaths, take a few deep breaths, relax. Yeah, somebody is saying cancer treatment is not correct. Correct. Chemo is not easy to go through. Correct. Then fine, be a typical yogi. This is what I will do. Sit down in samadhi and leave your body. You're yogis. What is the problem? Sit down in samadhi, leave the body. Some of you have not learned that. Okay, next time I come to UK, I may introduce you to the initial practices if you all want. If you all want to. And somebody said fear of death. You're not really afraid of death. You're good. That fear of the unknown, that fear of death and fear of unknown, I will cover next time, okay? Because that'll take a little time. So that I'll definitely handle it next time as a topic by itself as part of the talk. Any other questions? There is a statement in English, again, English literature, okay? Not my Sanskrit literature. Today I'm quoting all English literature that you all are more familiar with. A coward dies 1,000 deaths. The valiant die but once. One of my friend's father, they had discovered him suffering from cancer. And it was a fast growing cancer. With chemo, they gave him 6 months of life. And he decided, this is only 6 months, not worth it. I'm going to stop all treatment. His friend calls me. He says, Swamiji, my father is saying this. Please come and talk to him. I said, fine. So I went and talked to him. I found him very sane. Very consciously, he has taken the decision that with chemo, it's only 6 months. Now, why am I wasting my time? I'm going to spend my time in spiritual studies and contemplation, nothing else. And with my family, whatever other time is there with the family, I'll spend. And I will go. He went in 3 months, happily. Inspirational. Now, fear, somebody asked me, let me answer that question first. Is fear is the same as worry? No, but fears can cause worry. Your fear can cause a lot. And a lot of worrying can cause fears also. Is how your pattern of thinking is. What is happening is, nobody has taken a thinking class for us. Nobody has taught us how to think. And thinking is one of the most important things that you do in your life. But nobody taught us how to think. Is there a thinking class in school or college that you went to? No. Only one writer I have found handling this question of thinking in the Western world, Edward de Bono. He has talked about lateral thinking and things like that. Some attempt at thinking he has made. Otherwise, nothing. Then somebody also asked a question, do we carry fears from our past life? Yes. That becomes phobias, etc. No. If it is a simple fear, you can handle it just like any other fear you'll handle. But if it is very complex, like a phobia that paralyzes you and you don't find a logical reason why that fear is there, that I can't handle it, that there is no logical answer why that I can't handle it is coming, then what you do is you may have to do a small past life regression or something like that. That will help. Because some awareness of your past life will help you handle the fear. But only in such cases where there is an unexplained phobia, not otherwise. Not otherwise. Otherwise, past life fears we carry. In what way is your past life very different from this life anyway? Past life also I lived. I grew up, became a young man or woman, made my life, met somebody, and had kids, and one day I went away. Somebody else has asked, can you have fear from your parents? Of course, a lot of fears are learned fears. A lot of fears are learned fears. So when, as process of growing up in a society, in a community, definitely family, our original family is the first community we are used to. So a lot of those fears I may inherit, unless, but thank God, there is one big thing that's happening in a child's life. That is teenage rebellion, where you break patterns that you picked up from your family. So that's a big thing, where some of these fears can be overcome. Or you may have to make a conscious effort and overcome some of these fears. Either way, it's nice. Now, somebody asked, fear of dogs, etc. I have my fear same as my mother, and I don't want to pass it on my son. If you don't want to pass it on to your son, there is no way you can hide that fear from your son. Your son will instinctively recognize it and pick it up. The only thing that you can do is get over those fears. Take this session seriously and get over those fears. There is no shortcut. once your son recognizes that you have got over that fear, or doesn't recognize that, but recognize the fact that you are a courageous woman, automatically the son will pick it up. Like how you can pick up fears, you can pick up courage also. Can medication help to overcome fear? Yeah, pill popping is a common thing. Yeah. If your fear is becoming psychologically impossible for you to handle it, then as a short-term measure, there are some medication which a psychiatrist may give. Okay, but there are short-term measures. Eventually, you have to handle it psychologically. You can't handle it otherwise. Okay, because fear is a psychological phenomenon. It has to be handled psychologically. There are tougher ways of handling that fear, but I can't introduce you to all that here in a session like this. There are a lot of methodology. Okay, a lot of methodologies. And if it's a fear, like somebody said, fear of dogs, cats, or reptiles, etc., something like that. Okay. Another technique is progressive desensitization. You're scared of a dog. Why you don't know? You're scared. So get a friend to keep a pet, a small dog with them. Not very small dog, because very small dogs are very aggressive. It's easier with a little bigger dog, like a Labrador or something. They're very friendly beings, at the same time calm. Okay. Let the friend sit there with the dog and you sit next to it. And you just be there. Just be comfortable with the presence of a dog. Then slowly sit next to the dog, close but not enough, no contact. After some time, or next day or the day after that, just pat the dog a bit on the head, nothing more. Or give the dog a biscuit. So progressively you move, you desensitize yourself from that fear, because it's an illogical fear. It's an illogical fear. You handle it that way, progressively desensitize. Somebody else asked that question, that if you have this fear because you are not good enough, the fear of not being good enough, that's a big fear with a lot of people. What you need to do there is what is said in the Gita, Uddhared Atmanatmanam Natmanam Avasadayet. Lift yourself by yourself. Don't look down upon yourself. That means what? In other words, build up your self-esteem. There are a lot of psychological ways, spiritual ways also, of building up your sense of self-esteem. If you go onto my website, vedicwisdom.in, the workshop section has a huge 8 workshops on it of how to build up self-esteem. Go through that and build it up. Recognize the fact you are good enough. Nothing is useless in the creation. Everything is useful. Even if there is a useless thing, it is there to show how useful other things are. Okay. So build up your self-esteem. That's what you need to do. There's no quick answers to it. Look at it. Any answer I give will not be quick fixes. It will be something that you work on so that you are genuinely like that. So if you genuinely build up your self-esteem, you will be great. So looks like people want to leave now. So Ram, should we call it a day, or you're the boss?
Thank you, Swamiji. That's a lovely session. Completely new levels of topics. I really enjoyed that, and it looks as if from the questions that there was really great engagement from the audience. It
Next class will go from courage to fearlessness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So next one is courage to fearlessness, which we're really looking forward to next Sunday at the same time of 3 o'clock. And it looks as if this subject is really this interesting. I mean, we will pass on your website to everybody that's on this call so that they can take a look at it. and if necessary, I think we may well actually do a course.
Oh yeah, you can email me with any questions that I have.
Yeah.
I'll be happy to.
Yeah, we'll do a short course as well. I think we'll organize one later on in the year.
Yeah, you can organize this as a proper course. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'll go down very well. So for now, Swamiji, just my pranam to you. Thank you very much.
Pranam to everyone here.
Such a beautiful course.
I enjoyed being with all of you.
Thank you so much for your support. We really appreciate it from the
Great
festival.
to be here back again. Yeah.
And
it almost feels like I'm back in the yoga festival.
That's right. Lovely to hear your voice, and we're really looking forward to seeing you again next week. Thank you so much.
Definitely. I'll be happy to be there.
You. All right. Thank you. Thank you indeed. Thank you. So thanks, everyone. That's about it. We'll see you.
Thanks to Ram too for organizing all this.
Yeah, most welcome. So we'll see you next Sunday, same time, same channel. Work on your fear. Work on the homework that you got, and we'll see you again next week. Thanks, everyone. Really appreciate your support. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you, everybody.